Chanukah. Hilchos Chanukah, we're going to try our best to cover as much as possible in the short amount of time that we have. So basically, and then at the end, hopefully, we'll throw in a short vart. I'm going to try to focus particularly on the things that probably we might not know or is interesting. We might not know, which is interesting. That which we know, I think we all know. We don't have to get involved in machlekes, beis Shammai, beis Hillel, whether you light, whether you're meisav ha'ilech, whether you go down. I think everyone here knows the basic minhag that you add on a candle every night, and every person in the household adds on a candle every night. In America, we don't have to get involved. If you light outside, you light inside. Everyone knows you light by the window, and everything is good. So what could we talk about? So the first shayla we could talk about, which happens before we get to Shabbat and Luz, good. But we get the first night to Wednesday night, Thursday night. What happens? Before you even start lighting, you get involved in a serious shayla. What's the shayla you get involved in before you start lighting? Anytime you have a mitzvah, we know that a chatzi shah, a half hour before you do the mitzvah, you're not allowed to eat. You're not allowed to eat. What are you allowed to do? You're allowed to do te'ima. You're allowed to do te'ima, which means shahakal ha'etz hadama, means you can't have a suda. That's the basic halacha. But the problem is what time are you lighting? So the lichatz chila is you light around shkia time. Somewhere around shkia, I'm not going to get involved. Al shitas from shkia, 10 minutes after shkia, 20 minutes after shkia, tzaisek achavim, the chasidim. If anyone wants to know like the most basic thing to do here in America, like listen, Rabbi, just keep it simple. Tell me what to do and leave me alone. It's about 15 minutes ballpark after shkia, between 10 and 20 minutes after shkia. We could give a whole share explaining why that is true, but we're going to try to cover as much as we can tonight. So it's ba'arech 15 minutes, 20 minutes after shkia. How long should you get? So before Ma'ariv, after Ma'ariv is based on minhag. If one has a stark minhag to daven Ma'ariv before, and here in America many people do, so you daven Ma'ariv early, you daven Ma'ariv at shkia, a few minutes after shkia, and then you go right home and you light. That's the lichat chila. That is, and vadi, you have to repeat Kriya Shema. That is, of course, the lichat chila. How long should your candle stay lit for? So everyone knows the mitzvah is chatzi shah, a half hour. But, Baruch Hashem, I think everyone here could afford epis, a little bit of oil, I think. And as they say, everyone who gives a share has to say, and if you can't, come over afterwards and we'll give you a bottle of oil. But Lemais, I think we buy the set. Yeah, we'll get to, you thought you bought the set. You didn't realize that they're having some sushi tonight. You didn't realize. We'll get there. We'll get there in a few minutes. Hi, Mishayid. Hi, Mishayid. You got a chuna, the mikvah, the gartel, you roll the wicks, you shear the sheet. Let's get there. You got to get the oil all over you. Joe, no? Joe has a sheep in the backyard and he's growing cotton and he's a dust. Yeah, but do you think it's just the matzahs? It's a ganze vaida. So let's get there. But how long should your candles stay lit? Lemaisa, a half hour is Mikra Din. Probably more like an hour and a half. Hour and 3/4 is the number. Different shita is how long you want it. That's about the number. Now, are you allowed to put it out early? This is, I think, top 3 shilas. Top 3 shilas is, I have a Chanukah party at 6:30, so okay, Shkia tonight is, 4 something, so I'll light the chveis to 4:30, ballpark 4:15, 4:30, and I want to leave the house. Can I So the answer is, Me'ikar Hadin, once they lit a half hour, you're allowed to put them out. Lechatchila, once they lit an hour and a half, you could put them out. Lechatchila, Shabbat Lechatchila, is Achetichla Regel Minashok. How long people are around? We live a little bit out of town. Matzav here, the Olam here is not dancing a little bit so late. Yeah, back in the Yerushalayim days, in the Beis Yisrael days, a little bit of a different story. Joe's up there on the porch. At what time? Yeah, let's not get involved in there. And then there's a chumrah, you let the candles burn and burn and burn. Here in America, l'chayra, I don't even know if it's a chumrah to have them burning past whatever the number is. But you're allowed to put them out. Very important. You're very important. And it's more important to light bismanoi, and put them out than to light later at night. Even though here in America, because the Iker Hadlaka is for the Bnei Bayis, and therefore many Lemaisa light later. Many people, they can't leave work earlier. It's interesting. In Eretz Yisrael, even the fry managed to leave work earlier. It's just what happens. It's a national holiday. It's a true story. And the traffic at 3:30 is gefährlich. There's no such thing as businesses open past 4 o'clock in Eretz Yisrael. Here, even the Heimisher somehow can't finish work earlier. Grad Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky writes at length how he's nisbal at the lack of lichatchila to light bismani. So let's no, but even the Hasidim avad is lichatchila to light bismani, whatever the zmani is. So let's just go into what's a lichatchila, what people do, and what we could do. It's different things we got to know. We got to know what does it say? What's the lichatchila? What does the vel do? And now we got to figure out, does it have to change? So lichatchila is to light bismani. Lemaisa, let's just be honest for a moment. Many people don't get home from work until 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're not leaving the office at 3:30, and they're not lighting to 6:30, 7 o'clock. Is that wrong? The answer is in America, it's beseder. Because the Ikra Adlok is for B'nai Bayis, it's beseder. Would it be lechatchila to leave earlier? 100%. No one disagrees. From every Hasidish, Litvish, the ganze Welt, everyone agrees it's more lechatchila to light bismana. And if one is able to, that's for sure the lechatchila. If you can't, which is a mitzias, you're allowed to light late. How late? Lamais, you can light the ganze Nacht. Light as late as you want. Pashtus is you don't even have to. Everyone knows the shayla. I got to wake up my wife. I got to wake up the kids. Pashtus is you don't even need to do that. And Lamaisi, you're allowed to light as late as possible. We're not going to get involved in the pratim of that shayla right now. So lechatchila, when do we light again? Around shkia time. 10 minutes after shkia, 15 minutes after shkia. Lechatchila, how much oil do we put in the candles? Between 30 minutes. No, you want a little longer, an hour and a half of them. If you need to leave your house, are you allowed to put them out? Yes. After how long? Lechatchila, about an hour and a half. B'diavad, about a half hour, about half. Now, if you light early, you're allowed to light early. How early? Plag HaMincha. Plag HaMincha. What is Plag HaMincha? Look at the calendar. Plag HaMincha. I think we looked at it before. What time was it? No. Oh, very good. We're holding in the Gemara. What time was Plag? I think it was 3:30. I think it was 3:30 about. You're allowed to light from Plag, which is important. Plag Mincha, 3:30. You're allowed to light from 3:30. But if you light at 3:30, then you vaday need to have enough oil for it to stay at least a half hour after, which again, we're not talking shkia here. Shkia is 4:30. Half hour after shkia, which is 4:30 is 5 o'clock, which you need enough oil for an hour and a half. Well, lechatchila is going to be about 2.5 hours. Now, again, we're talking about one bottle of oil is actually enough. I know everyone, should I fill it up all the way? I want to put the water in the bottom. Lemaisa, one bottle of oil is enough, I believe, to fill up the average size cup. What's an average size cup? They come from this to das. The average size, one bottle, they sell oil in the stores. One bottle is enough to fill up one the first night, two the second night, three, to fill them all up fully.
$20 bottle or $75 bottle?
That's a different story. It depends how big your cups are. If you have a big cups, then ain't a chanami. And again, what are we talking? We're talking $20. I'm not saying you don't need to have. Someone just told me, I wake up in the morning and my menorah is lit. I have coffee with my menorah. You don't need to have your menorah lit to the next day. If you don't need to live, good. That's the lechatchila. You're allowed to put it out. Very important. Do you blow it out? Chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom. We all know, al pi Kabbalah, you never blow out a candle. State in Zohar, state in all Kabbalah. If you blow out a candle, you blow out a fire, you're blowing out your neshama. Chas v'shalom. So what do? Either you do azai, or you do azai, or you do azoi, or chlais, or you do, they go out to the real Kabbalists, do the puff. They don't blow, they do a cough. It's like, Now, what's the chilik? The Kabbalah will explain to you that it comes from a different part of it doesn't come from the neshama, it comes from epis to das. I have no clue what it means, but that's what they say. Okay, so that's halacha number one. Halacha, which right there, by the way, if you're listening, we just solved a lot of the Chanukah party conundrums that happen in this world. Let's say Lamaisa, what I just said didn't work. Whatever the reason is, it didn't work. Okay, meaning you couldn't get home at 4:30, you didn't get home at 5 o'clock. Lamaisa, you didn't go up to 6:30, light 10. Lamaisa, for whatever its reason, you needed to go to a Chanukah party, and therefore you didn't get home until 9 o'clock. You light at 9 o'clock. Is it lechatchila to light bismana? Yes. Are you allowed to light later? Yes. Now,
what about the part you're not supposed to eat before?
Oh, good. That's what we're getting to right now. Very good. What about the fact you're not supposed to eat? You're not supposed to eat for a half hour. So now, as everyone here is saying, okay, very good, I can light later. Listen, I can't eat. So it would seem, the pashtus lahalacha is that you're not allowed to eat from the zman, shkia, until you light, which for someone working is a very difficult zach. He's coming home at 6:37, 8 o'clock at night, and he can't eat from 4:30. So Lamaisa, Rosh Shmuel Kamenetsky, I actually have a charata that I did not put this in the sefer. Rosh Shmuel Kamenetsky writes And I'll read you in my Sefer in Chanukah. If anyone doesn't have a copy, just papers I read it. If anyone doesn't have a copy, there's more on the shelf. Feel free to take. If there's no more on the shelf, I'll give you one afterwards. Says Chanukah and Purim. Yeah. Says Shmuel. You're far away. You're at work. And you're not having a shliach to light for you. What does that mean? They say that Rav Scheinberg is learning second Seder. Comes his man alaka. So what do? Rav Scheinberg's wife lit menorah from.
Wife can be a shliach.
Wife could be a shliach. His wife. No. Name. God, the woman have a chivos. Shiloh, they have a chiyuv. Yeah, which we'll get to in a moment with the Doom Malach.
But they can be moitzi.
They can be moitzi. That's what Shaimer, they say his wife lit menorah for him. Now, I don't know.
My wife doesn't light it.
I don't know. No wife lights. No wife lights. The wife is yet to the husband. Now, I don't know the postscript as if when he came home later, he lit himself. I can't imagine he never lit menorah. It just sounds. No. The var was he learned straight. Lamaisa minig yeshiva says nishtazai, and we break. Oh, it's a big machlekes. We all know the yeshiva is we're all mevatel for the mitzvah, and okay. Now what? Now you should lechatchilas to have a shliach tzlai for you bismani. Again, if one wants to know if he's yeah. It's not so common in Eretz Yisrael. I'll explain why maybe it's more common. But lamaisa, if someone's at work till late, the reason is I think I don't remember who they say it's b'shem. My brain's telling me something. Rav David Feinstein that lamaisa. No, I grabbed the Ramesh as a tshuva about it. There's an element of shalom bias, and if one's they say what if let's say the case the opposite. One's wife is working, so he's on bisman. Is she light without his wife? So the answer is yeah, you're light without your wife. They say Lamaisa once allowed to wait for his wife. There's an element of Shalom Bayis there also. You're allowed to, I think it's a tshuva Ramesh. It's similar to Sudas Purim. I don't remember it and I don't want to comment. But back to what we're talking about. This we do remember. It says Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky, Lamaisa, you're not going to light until later. The pashtus is you're not allowed to eat. You're allowed to taste, allowed to have a coffee, ha'itz, hadama. However, there's a savior. And this is what we all need to know. Because if you're not going to be lighting till later, it's a simple answer. And this is one of those cases, you know the halacha, you save yourself, you know halacha, you're just violating halacha. So why not know halacha, do it right? Says Rav Shmuel, what do? You have a shaymer. What is a shaymer? So number one, could your wife be a shaymer as a shayla? The best is, have someone remind you, a shaymer. If someone wants to know the mice, I don't have anyone to remind me. What could I do? Tachlis. You know what you do? You take out your phone, you set an alarm, you put it for whatever time it is, and you write in the menorah, and Lamaisa, it's a shayla whether that works for a shaymer, but for something like this, Lamaisa, there is a makom to be makel. It's better you tell your wife to remind you. You also have to realize.
Put
You have
something on your bed. Like
yeah.
On your bed.
That works also. That would work also. You have the point is you need to have a reminder. Now, someone might say, "Come on, it's ridiculous. I'm never going to forget to light menorah." I don't know. You come home, it's late, you eat supper, you dust. You're lying in bed. Oh my gosh, it could happen. It's not the craziest of things. Right now, before Chanukah, goes, whatever, forget to light menorah.
Let Gemtech remind you. They know when he's going.
Yeah. If you have that, the Chinese remind you. But okay, that's an important halacha. One's wife, is she allowed to eat if you're not lighting till late? The same in the reverse. The answer is yes, because you're basically the shamer for her, and therefore she could eat. You're not allowed to learn from the zman if someone is in the middle of a starkest second seder, and from the zman you're not allowed to learn. Within a half hour we're mekel. At the zman, we tell you to stop and go light. Now, if you're not going to be lighting till later, that is a different story. Okay, let's continue. We didn't even light the first candle yet. That's halacha number one before you light. Nachal number two is you lit the candles. Gavaldik. We'll talk about it. So how long do you have to stay? What's the answer?
Half an hour.
Is the answer?
2 minutes.
Is the answer? Is the answer?
0.
There's no such halacha about staying by the neighbors. No such halacha. Now, the only time in Gan Shulchan Aruch, slow. The only time, Avada, now, 1 second. The only time in Gan Shulchan Aruch, you say about house burning down? Only time in Gan Shulchan Aruch that it talks about looking at the neighbors is where? Nowhere in Aruch and nowhere in Hilchos Chanukah. Is where anyone learning Daf Yomi might know this one. It's the Yana case in Baba Kama, where the guy puts his menorah outside his store, and the shar walks by with the flax on his back and lights it up on fire. Shteit in halacha, you got to watch your menorah. So, Rav David, you're 100% correct. Sakana, you got to watch your menorah. And if someone wants to leave his house, says, "Am I allowed to leave my menorah lit?" That's not for me to answer. That's between you and your sakana police. If it's a sakana, don't. If it's not a sakana, it's good. Finish. Now, Shalom Bayis. However, you could simply, yes, now let's just give the classic reminders. Wood burns. So all the chavra that are lighting menorah on a wood table, put something down on top of it. Good. Drapes. Burn. Don't light menorah, 25 candles on. Oh my gosh, I'm not chas v'shalom, but it happens every single year. Shem Yirachim. A lot of the prefab, different types of cups, they blow up. They blow up. They mamish blow up. Be careful. Be careful. Good. That's al sakana.
If your kid comes home with
All the menorahs that the kids bring home from school, yes, they will be non-existent by the end of Hanukkah. They will burn up. So you watch them. You watch them. Don't leave those items lit. Givaldik. Next. But how long do you have to stay? The answer is 0 amount of time. A little mushal. Let's say you come home and you want to light and your wife's somewhere one night and you have somewhere to go. There's nothing wrong. Your mitzvah is to light. I have pictures. I was by Rav Elyashiv 13 years ago when he lit menorah. 13 years ago when he lit menorah. Rav Elyashiv. One second. Rav Elyashiv. I was by Rav Elyashiv and Rav Nosson Tzvi. Oh, you can't.
Candles noch.
No, Rav Elyashiv is not with candles. That's a whole fight. Where did I just
is there an Indian to spend money on the kid to light with oil?
For a kid on the bar mitzvah. No. 1 second. Let's 1 second. Chevra. As follows. I can't find the picture. I know. We'll show the Chaver afterwards. Rav Elyashiv, when he lit menorah, it'll say what happened. The door opened up. He came outside. He mach the bracha. He lit the menorah. He shut the door. He went upstairs and dal zehu. That was the ganze Nacht. The whole thing was about 90 seconds. No, believe I'm not
inside.
Inside, he probably said to him. Rav Nosson Tzvi. He sat outside and he let the ganze Chaver dance around him and sing Mal Thor. So that was about 10 minutes. I got to have another story about Rav Nosson Tzvi. Maybe I'll say at the end. But that was 10 minutes. What? Oh, now Avada. No, Avada. Now, again, the answer was, La halacha, how long do you have to stay? Now, it's important to know you don't have to stay. Why? In case you need to leave, etc. Now, one wants to know, and this really brings us into what type of oil and wicks to use. Are you Yaitse, if you buy the prefab oil, and you come home 1 second before, you dump it in, you mach the bracha, you light, you leave, you did your mitzvah. You did your mitzvah, upstairs, you got your check. Is that a lechatchila to mitzvah? I don't really think so. There's l'chayra a little bit more to menorah, a little bit than that. So now, what should you do lechatchila? There's a beautiful tefillah, haneres halalu. If someone wants to sit by the candles and learn a little bit, nachveser. If someone wants to sit by the candles and even think a little bit, nachveser. You want to sit with the family, is a beautiful thing. Now, let's talk about the actual lighting of the menorah. What type of oil? Are you allowed to use the prefab cups? Yes. God, it's very interesting. Rav Shmuel writes that the prefab cups have the best lights. That's what he writes. He says, because Lamaisa, they know what they're doing. When we sit there, we put in the wick, and this, the floating wick, forget about it. They've drowned more times than anything else in the world. I don't even know no one even knows why they still sell them. Because every single day, put it in, sings, call the lifeguard, put it in, sings. It never works. No one knows. We've all had it once, right? So if Gans Klaisel does it once, that's, okay. So now, what should you do? There is a maila, lechatchila, lamaisa, the lighting of the menorah in many mekayros is daimeh to the Kohen Gadol lighting the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. The Baal HaMa'or writes this, the Kavayosha writes this, and because of this, they bring down many additional, I can't call them lahalachas, more in yanim to do to bolster our Neiros Chanukah. Now, someone might ask, let's just be honest, like who cares? Why? I lit the menorah, right? So it's Gemara in Shabbos. And the Gemara in Shabbos says, Harogil b'ner havin lon banav talmidei chachamim. Gemara in Shabbos al-Chakim lon beis. So this Gemara says Rashi is talking about two types of neiros. It's talking about Ner Shabbos and Ner Chanukah. And this is the makar, the basic makar, that we all know that a woman lights candles. She says V'zakeni, she says Tfilah, some say Tfilas Chana, they give stuck in the Ganzazach. And we all know that everyone speaks about that how many children were saved for Deiris. All the El Tababa sat by the Neiris and sung Tilim and cried, and a beautiful mitzvah. Givaldik, the whole Ganzazach. We, men, have a chance 8 days a year. 8 days a year. We get it. And somehow, even that, we're barely able to light the candle and run. Yeah, Friday Night Chanukah, forget about what goes on. Somehow it's early Shabbos always. And forget about that. I don't know if we're going to get to those halachas. So Lamaisa, we're going to get there in one moment. Lamaisa, you're allowed to, there's many Gevaldik Inyanim. One of them is the hachana for the mitzvah. We don't have time to tell all the stories. But Lamaisa, Chasidish and Ish Chasidish, Lamaisa, hachana is an integral chelek of the mitzvah. And therefore, is owner allowed to buy the thing? Yes. Is there definitely something beautiful about sitting there and pouring in oil and getting your hands a little bit dirty and putting in the thing?
You agitated. And
okay. Listen. We're not. We're not paying for the psychologist. Yes. If we're gonna have the psychologist on speed dial due to filling up your menorahs, we have other problems. But that's a different story. But
spilled the whole orange juice.
What? Yeah. But that's part of the mitzvah. L'chaira, unfortunately, where we're holding, there's a beautiful thing to try our best to add a little bit to the mitzvah. The Kav Yashar says you should be dressed appropriately. It's like when you daven, you want to dress appropriately. Says the Kav Yashar, you're doing a mitzvah. The Maril writes you should wash the Tilas Yadayim beforehand. Maril. Similarly, before B'dikas Chametz, he says you should do it. Others say whether you have to or not, if you're of the Chavra, hopefully that you're going to be preparing mikvahs. You don't have to mention it.
Every day you have to go. Every day.
Twice. No, you go a second time.
Twice?
You go in the morning. But when it comes to Sam, if you are preparing the thing when your hands get dirty, then yes, you should wash your hands. Now, important to note, if you're going to be running home, and it's going to be late, and it's going to be hectic, then you're right. You shouldn't be preparing it. So how do you mitigate that factor? I have a very simple answer. It's called the night before. It's called the night before. Before you go to sleep. Kids run around, so you take the menorah after it's prepared. I know if your menorah doesn't sit in your window for 8 days straight, and everyone, then you left your yard say, but Lamaisa, you prepare the menorah and you put it on the side. Now, by the way, Erev Shabbos, I don't say it's a chiyuv to prepare it then earlier, but it's a chiyuv to prepare it then earlier. Because it's Erev Shabbos. This year, it's only, the second night. But Lamaisa, we all know what happens. The Shabbos is at 4:18. And therefore, Avada, there's a tremendous inyan to prepare your own wicks. They say someone even bring down, they should put the wick in and then the oil, because that's what the Kohen Gadol did in the Beis HaMikdash. And now, when you light the fire, number one is the hadlaka isa mitzvah. Right? We all know that, right? Gavaldik. And yet, if we were to video Klal Yisrael lighting the menorah, it will look like this. Here's my menorah in front of me, right? It look like this. Bracha, das. Oops! Oops! I don't understand. Why do you keep it going back? You keep it going back because it didn't catch fire. So we all know halakha is a mitzvah, which means you hold your candle until it actually catches thing. Now, I know it requires incredible amounts of patience. One of those things that's very difficult for all of us, because if you actually do it, it takes approximately 90 seconds. And we're all making fun. But even on the second day, we're all making fun. But we all know we have the same issue. We all know that lemaisa, So, but that's you have to do it. Hanir salalu. If you want to say hanir salalu, it's two minhagim. Either you say it while you light or after. But everyone agrees one thing: you're not allowed to say hanir salalu during the first candle. You have to wait until the first candle is lit l'chol adayis. Some wait until all the candles are lit. Some do it while you're lighting it. But you can't do it while you're lighting that first candle, and this is a tremendous travesty. I see people, they make the brachas, and before they even light it, they're saying an eretz salo. That's called a hefsek. And you might have to make a new bracha. Another interesting detail. If, let's say, we're on night number 7, we'll use our soda bottles over here. Okay, we're on night number 3. Big Medaira, Baruch Hashem. So now, I'm standing in the middle, right? Like every normal Jew. I'm a righty. So my candle's in my right hand. I make both the brachas, and now I go like this. It's ma'avir al mitzvahs. Now it's true, in most menorahs it's smaller, and it's not such a big deal. But sometimes you see people that their mamish b'dafka standing close to it, and then that is not allowed. You're ma'avirin al hamitzvahs, which means you hold. Now, a lot of these things are the most minor of nuances, but this is harigel b'ner. Havlam Banav Tamid Chachamim explains the Mefarshim. Rugel means to do the mitzvah bidiktuka, with the appropriate stringencies, which means if you have a choice to buy the $3 oil or the $10 oil, now if it's just an extra $10 because they put a picture of the menorah on the front, then ain't a chanami. You have no reason to spend extra money, or because it's from Evergreen versus a chvais. You have no reason. But sometimes we all know there are better quality oils. Better quality oil lights longer. And then, it is a reason. Nicer, cleaner. It definitely is a reason to spend money. So you put your handle next to it. That's with or comes to how to light. That's the malacha, that's the eating, that's the lighting, that's an eres halalu. Ma'isur comes afterwards if you want. If you don't want, there's no chiv, say ma'isur. And ala tfilos, kanta tilim, v'chulu.
You make up some of the words when you sing
Ma'isur, there's no chiv, so you can do what you want. Let's get to Shabbos, because we're running out of time. Let's get to Shabbos. Erev Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos. Here we go. First of all, when it comes to going away, I'm going to make one comment, and then I'm not going to get every case. No, I'm not going to get every case. I'm going to give one general rule, and many cases get very, very intricate. This is one of the places that Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky writes, he doesn't really understand why people aren't being lechatchila. And everyone's busy running one night here, one night here, one night here, one night here, which means you're every night nowhere. And there ish ubeisai. You have to have a bias. If you don't have a bias, I saw tonight, I don't have time to read it inside. So tonight, someone was medame, Kilu, you're standing outside in the park. Oh, he's talking about lighting. Some people, unfortunately, go to a Chanukah party and they think, oh, Givaldic Chanukah party, you light the menorah there. I don't know where that minhag came from. So people show up to the Chanukah party and they light the menorah there. So the shul says his own naya din of a basic knesses, which by the way, if you light in the shul, you still have to make a bracha at home. It's one of those things people get all nervous about. They made the bracha, like, all of a sudden now you're so makbid. Make a shackle and a brain of ashes and then worry about it. But the halacha, you're allowed to make the bracha in shul. It's not a problem. But and it's mutter. And it's mutter. So you ask you want to light the menorah? No. Well, why not? I have to light it at home. You're allowed to. What's Beseder? Anyways, so they're medamit to lighting on a park bench. If you light at a Chanukah party and a park bench, don't say, what do you mean? It's a beautiful thing. It's a park bench. I hope it's not your house. And if it is, we should definitely talk afterwards. And you can't light on a park bench. You have to light in your house. Therefore, if you are going away, what you have to figure out is where is your house. That's what you have to figure out. Meaning, you're home, you have a house. Let's say you're going away for Shabbos, the parents, the in-laws, so then that becomes your house. That's for Friday night. What about Shabbos? So there's two ways to do it. If you're close by and you're going to leave right after Shabbos, no, I'm not taking sides. Your relationship with the in-laws, whether they throw you out the minute after Shabbos, whether they have paid for the pizza after Shabbos, but Lamaisa, whatever is happening is, after Shabbos, if you're running home, then you run home and you light in your house. If you're not running home and you're hanging out there, because it's your parents and the in-laws, which means you always have, I hope, you always have some level of kaviyas there, because it was your house or your wife's house. Therefore, Motzei Shabbos, you'll light there, hang out, have Epis Mulava Malka, and then go home later at night, and you're allowed to do that.
Is it more like a tradition to stay over tonight?
Says Rosh Zalman Arbach, it's always lichatchila to spend the night. Always lichatchila. So if any time one has the choice, and for some people it's not a big deal, and like, come home for no reason. Lamaisa, there you go. Lamaisa.
The rabbi said. And it has to come from Malawi Malkin, right?
Yeah, vada.
What about you?
Yeah, we did say what?
What if you're sticking around?
Yeah.
So you light it. You
Good.
light your parents.
Good.
You light when you get home.
No. You light one time. You light there. Now, if you're not with your parents, your in-laws, it gets Fleisch. The rabbi wants to be invited to speak. Fleisch, and no, be careful. They actually know me. They might invite me. Fleisch and dust. Weiter. Now, that's Motzei Shabbos. Which comes first? So I'm going to say this now. Wait a second. I'm going to say this now, but no one will remember by the time Friday night comes. Today is Tuesday. Friday's not that long off, but this is just what happens. There's a Shiloh, which comes first Friday night, Menorah or Shabbos candles. And then there's a Shiloh Motzei Shabbos, which comes first Havdalah or Menorah. And yet, we do this every single year, and no one for the life of themselves could remember. No one could remember. It's just a thing. What should I tell you? You got to do everything of this, but it doesn't work. So the Maisa, what comes first? If you think about it, you'll realize Friday night Menorah comes first, and then comes Shabbos candles.
What comes first?
On Friday night, you should not light Shabbos candles first. Why? Because once you light Shabbos candles, it's Shabbos. And therefore, now when it gets Lamaisa, if it gets close to the Zman, which it never should, she is allowed to light the Shabbos candles while you light the menorah. It's allowed, and it's an important thing to know, because sometimes, again, the Shabbos candles is for Shalom Bayis, and if we're going to be ice Shalom Bayis is not good. Now, important. Correct, but so that's the reason. So Be'etzim, you're right. You're making a very important detail. That Be'etzim by a man, you're right. But she's being yotzei when it's already nacht. It's nishpashet. L'maisa b'diavad, you're right. But l'maisa you should. Abhorrent mincha. When you light menorah, what are you saying? Shalom aleichem. It's night, and then you go to shul and you daven mincha. How are you doing that? Rosh Shmuel Kamenetsky is violently upset about this. Mamish violent. No. Mincha. Right. When you light menorah, what are you saying? It's nacht. It's night. You light menorah at nighttime.
Erev Shabbos?
No.
Nine. That's the stira.
That's the stira. There's a second reason. The second reason in the Beis Hamikdash, who knows what came first? The carbon tamid or the menorah?
Are we doing a mincha Friday?
Avada.
Yeah?
What came first, of course? What came first? Carbon tamid or menorah? The answer is carbon tamid came first. Then menorah. That's the second reason why.
You'll have 30, 40 people.
I mean, all the shuls have it, but avada. I don't know. It's the second reason why you want to have mincha and then menorah. Now, lemaisa, let's say, Shmuel has an interesting chiddush about davening with a minyan. He wants to tie in. It's so important to daven first. He wants, I believe, even say you should daven be a chidus. He's very chamer on it. Many argue, many say if that's your only option, you should daven later with a minyan. Usually there is a minyan later, and one is allowed to daven later. But lichatchila is you daven first. Okay, we're running late. Finally, Matzei Shabbos. What comes first, menorah or havdalah? Oh, okay, good. Everyone's saying havdalah. Lemaisa, there are those that have a minog to light menorah first. Now the reason is you're allowed to make havdalah the ganze nacht. We just spent the whole first half of this year telling you that menorah should be mamish at the right time. So if you think about it, which should come first? Many do menorah first. If one doesn't have a minog, then what? Then it goes havdalah and then menorah. There are many, many more halachas. I'm going to end with two interesting halachas, and then I'll end with one very, very short vart. Where do donuts come from? Where do donuts come from?
Oil.
Where do donuts come from? Comes from frying in oil. Now the first thing is no one has ever fried in olive oil, and I don't know if we should try it. But Lamaisa, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach writes, you know where it comes from? Listen to this one. Two fascinating things. Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, the reason why we have sufganiyot, the reason why we have donuts. Very good. Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, Chanukah's Beis Chashmonai, they were tired the whole Beis Hamikdash when the Chashmonaim came in. But there was one area they were not able to mitayr, the Mizbeach. Because the Mizbeach were made out of stones, and he writes they didn't know how to be mitayr them. They had to hide the stones. They had to reconstruct the Mizbeach, which means they didn't have the Mizbeach. And they were bitzar over the fact they didn't have Mizbeach. So therefore they ate Mizaynais. Why? Because in Al Micha, what do you say? Al Mizbechecha, Al Mizbechecha. You mention the Mizbeach. That's what Shlomo Zalman says. You come to have donuts. So whether you like the reason or not, it's a shtickle epis of a chizik to make the Al Micha. Al Micha is a little bit of a forgotten art. Unfortunately, Machan Al Micha. Number one. Number two is, for those who say, what's this minhag of donuts? Says Rabbeinu Maimon ben Yosef, who was whom? The Tata of the Rambam. The Aviv Shel Rambam writes, Ein lahakel b'shom minhag, afilu minhag v'yeschayev kol nachin le'lasis mishte v'simcha u'maychal lefarnis haneis she'asa Hashem yisbarach u'pashet ha'minhag lasis sufkanin. So the father of the Rambam already was having donuts. Lamaisa, make sure to make an al micha. When it comes to Demei Chanukah, that's another one. Where does that one come from? So it really comes from, they say it comes from giving money to the aniyim. The Kitz already writes a special segula on Chanukah to give extra segaka. It gives you your makabel, your tefillah, it's matar, your nefesh. The Chassam Sefer writes, why? Because the ani comes into the bayis. What happens when the ani comes to the bayis? You have mizuzah biyamin, you have minayra bismol. and then you have the ani in the middle, and then what? And then he goes into Chassidish Torah and says, v'hinoya masi yadayni. I don't know. I'm not making fun. I just don't understand what he's talking about. Yeah, I just don't know why he says it sounds almost like sounds like one second. It sounds almost like the Spitz Lulav. You have a mezuzah, you have a minoyer, now you have an ani. What a mitzvah, v'hinoya. That's what he says. It's absolutely fascinating. From there was spread the minhag to give gelt to the children. Some say bedavka on the 5th night of Chanukah, because the 5th night is one night of Chanukah that can never fall out on Friday night, and therefore you're allowed to give it. They asked Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, l'chayra, giving gelt comes from the goyim. Chukas hagoyim, you're not allowed to give gelt. I guess someone was trying to get off cheap that year. And Rav Yaakov responded, afoch. The goyim got it from us, and therefore it's mutter. It's big sugya. Now, I don't know where that morphed into buying gifts.
Oh, and every day?
Every single day, and every day. And people also meisav heilig. Just like a 1 candle, 2 candles. It's got to be a bigger.
Not allowed, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, l'chayra, that's, I can't say it's not allowed. I don't want to have a lot of angry phone calls. But one should realize.
Birthdays of Hanukkah.
Oh, get 2 for 1, you get off cheap.
No, that's
double.
Yeah.
Double, Baruch Hashem. Shalom Bais. No, but one should realize is that if the Iker Hadgasha, which by the way, someone showed me they have this new azach. Thank you, Rebbe. Meir Dik Azach. Thank you, Rebbe.com, I think it is. That there's a whole online matzav. It comes from the chaver that give out stuff to the Rebbeim. It's the whole thing. They made it very easy to give gifts to Rebbeim, to show Akaras HaTayv, to write a beautiful letter.
Thank you,
and it's definitely a Meir. I don't think the River Gled Shtivel on there. I don't know if it is. That'd be very funny. But the Maisa, it comes from the Vard of the school, Akaras HaTayv. It comes from the place to show Akaras HaTayv. And that we'll end off with one interesting shaila with an interesting taretz, which is a nice short vart. And the shaila is, what happens if you forget al hanisim in benching? You don't repeat benching. What happens if you forget al hanisim in shmonaseh? You don't repeat shmonaseh. What happens if you remember during Alakai Nitzar? What happens if you remember during the Harachamans? I don't know why people don't know this. There's a special Harachaman that you're allowed to say. Harachmanu yaselanu nisim v'neflais. Or and then you say Al Nisim. First of all, Stam, it's Gavaldik Din. No one knows this. I don't know why. And therefore, if you miss it, you still can make it up. But I have Frek the Kasha, Frek the Bechar Shah. I understand. On Shabbos, we know you're not allowed to daven for Bakashis and Shabbos. So how you let to say Al Nisim is one thing. To say Harachaman with Al Nisim means you're davening, you're being mispalel. Hashem, give us Nisim. How you let a daven for a nisim, b'davka, or racham a bakasha for a nisim during benching? It's okay. All the rachmans. This is where the goyim came from. He didn't say any rachmans, but here to add one on. So comes Linger Shlomo Kluger and he gives a beautiful taretz, which really brings out what is al nisim and what we're davening for. Says Shlomo Kluger, there's 2 types of nisim in this world. There's teva, and then there's teva. Like Kriyas Yamsuf is what? The Teva for a moment stopped. And Teva for a moment stopped, and this Yam split. That's one type of Nes. Now, which is the regular Nes that we know of. Says Shlomo Kluger, the Nes Chanukah wasn't that type of Nes. What was the Nes Chanukah? The Nes Chanukah were a bunch of Yidden, the Chashmonayim. They got together and they wanted more. They wanted more Kedusha. They wanted more Tahira. They wanted to defeat the Yavanim. They couldn't live in a world without Torah, without the Ikar Mitzvahs, without Beis HaMikdash. And there, because of that, they pushed themselves and they created a Nes. Says the Shlomo Kluger, Al Nisim is not a Nes of beyond the Teva. It's a Nes within the Teva. It's a Nes that when you want to push to do more, when you want to be greater, when you want to be closer to Hashem, when you want to be more connected, when you want to get up and you want to say, I can't handle this anymore. That's what the Nes of Chanukah is. So says Shlomo Kluger, that's what you're allowed to daven for on Shabbos. Because you're not davening for a Kriyas Yamsuf, you're not davening for a Nes, you're davening what? You're davening for yourself. Which we know that's one of the big answers of how do we daven, that we're davening that we should be greater people, we should be bigger people. And then, what happens? And then Hashem listens to our tefillos. So, b'siyat d'shmaya, in the schos of trying to be more medaktek in the Hilchos Chanukah, number 1, Haragal B'nei Arav L'Banav Tamid Chachamim, which I used to tell the Bachrim in Yeshiva, it's a school of 4 shidduch. Skula for shidduch, what shaykhis?
Hey,
if you want banim, you need to have a shidduch. Gewaldig. Number two is, if one is married, it's a skula for children. Why? They can't be tamuchachim if you don't have them first. Gewaldig. And number 3 is, if one has children, it's a skula to have gewaldige kinder. That's to be medaktik in the halacha, to put a little extra emphasis, to do it properly, to bring a little more, as we spoke, to bring a little more of a lave into the mitzvah, not just to be pattering up the mitzvah. And of course, as we speak so many times, definitely not to do the mitzvah with an eye. The kids drink that in. And if Tati, Abba, Daddy runs in, I got to light the nair, and the house becomes a bahala. And the kid says, can I have a gift? Oh, ask for a gift. You crazy? We have to first light. And the kids sitting there all crazy. That's a Shem Yirachim, the Shem Yirachim. And then you give the kid afterwards, oh, Kilu, yeah, shkayach. You spend money on me. Yeah, we know what you care about. So Avada, Mirza Hashem, with the proper preparation, will be medaktik more in the mitzvah. We'll be able to do it with more islahavos, a little bit more correctly. And I think you'll realize a lot of the details. You might not remember every detail, but I think you'll realize that as you're lighting, certain things will jog around in your memory, which by itself will create a better mitzvah. Because often, what's our problem? The problem is that we don't think. We just do mitzvahs without thinking. And then we're like, oh wait, I finished. That was the whole thing. Shucks. I missed the whole Chanukah. I'm finished. All right, let me do it again. Like, what am I supposed to do now? But hopefully, if we think about it a little bit, we'll do the mitzvah a little bit more. And b'siyata d'shmaya, we'll be zeicha by trying to be better, by trying to be bigger, by trying to be greater, by trying to be closer to Hashem, to the ultimate nisim v'neflois in our own personal lives. And ultimately, for Gans, Klal Yisrael.